Lindsay.
Hi, Lindsay.
Michael. Hey, Jenna. I just realized that it seems like I guess we can't all phone in at the same time because I got a busy signal when I tried to phone in.
Oh.
Yeah, I might have needed to send separate invites to use separate phone lines. I've never had that happen before, though.
Oh, okay. I mean, I just switched to my computer audio since no one's home in this moment, so it's not a big deal on my end. But I just want to let Dan and Joe know that.
Okay.
Is there any way to get another login real fast or another phone number real fast?
Let me... Should let them log in and use... Oh, let me see.
I'll text them right now, too.
I'm just on the...
Let's see if they can try and call in and
Oh,
see if
it didn't, like, do a phone number at all.
Oh, okay. Well, it looks like Dan just joined. His audio is just not on, but that's good.
Yeah, let's see if he's able to call in.
Where are you, Michael? Are you in Ohio? Did I make this up?
No, we're in D.C., just north of D.C.
Are you getting hit with snow too?
We are, yeah. I'm one of the lone. There's a couple of us in the office, but most people are working from home.
Yeah, that's where we are. We are all working from home. Oh yeah, Joe said his link is not working.
Let me
send him the URL.
send Joe an email.
Great.
Is this the right email address? Can you see my screen?
Yep. That's perfect.
Okay.
Great. Jana, how's it going today?
Huh?
I said, how are you doing today?
I'm good. Is Tucker at daycare?
He is at daycare, thankfully. Oh, that looks like Joe has...
I think everyone is here. We're just waiting to see if Joe and Dan can call in.
Great.
I'm here, guys.
Joe.
Hi, Joe.
What's up? Lovely day.
Is it snowing 15 blocks north of me?
Indeed it is. Well, we're getting ice up here.
Yeah, us too.
Yeah, I'm not getting
Hello?
snow. I'm getting really tiny hail. Hi, Dan.
And all right, well,
Hey, there we go.
All right. Well, it looks like we're all here. Thank you very much, guys, for calling in on a snow day. I know you're getting some crazy weather. I won't use the 2 hours today. I'll try and keep it shorter.
great.
I just want to walk through. Has everyone in this meeting seen the software or seen the registration process at this point?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. So I'll move through at a pretty good pace. But I want to make sure to cover just a quick general overview of, what does the dashboard look like? What's an individual record look like? What does an organization record look like? What are some reports you'll have access to? And then I'll spend the rest of the time really just focusing on your event specifically, how they function, how they'll work on the back end and the front end. So it should get you guys all set up to start taking registrations tomorrow. Feel free at any point to just jump in and ask questions. I want to make sure everyone's clear on how everything works, so just hop in at any time.
Are you recording this too, Michael? You said you were going to record it just so we had it for future reference.
So this is being recorded, so it might take me a day because sometimes the files are huge.
That's fine.
But I'll get it downloaded and sent over to you folks so you can have the recording for, if I need new staff to come on or if there's any staff that need to just go back and get a quick refresher, you'll have the recording as well.
Awesome. Thank you.
One thing I wanted to ask about before we started is I know on your actual Junior Theater Festival website, there's currently a link to the registration.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to remove it until we're absolutely ready to go live if possible.
Unfortunately, I don't think that's going to be a possibility for us. We have limited access to our web developer who does make edits and changes. So unfortunately, I don't think that's going to be possible.
Okay, I'm a little nervous because someone could just go in and start registering, and throughout the day before we push you guys officially live, we're going to be testing payments and things like that. So there'll be certain times where your authorized account is actually live, and someone could go in and register and make a payment. But we're going to delete all of that out of the database.
That's fine. We'll know when they batch out, and we can just cancel the charges and contact them and tell them. I mean, nobody knows about the registration, right, Nancy?
No, no one knows about it yet. And if for whatever reason someone does stumble upon it and register, if we can just make note of what organization it is, that way, we'll certainly let them know.
We'll know from the credit card, the batch. If anybody charges, we'll know at the end of the day who it was.
Unless
so you'll be able to see it through authorized, but I won't be able to make note of it because we're making, a whole bunch of test registrations, and then before we go live, we're going to delete everything. So there's not going to be any record of it in the database at all.
That's fine. We'll just tell them they should have registered. And so re-register and that their card isn't being charged.
Yeah, as long as you can just check that, then it should be
fine. The
fine.
thing is that this thing needs to be live at, 9 o'clock tomorrow morning Eastern time? What time is it?
So I told them we're going to let them know that it opens at 10 a.m. So we can make it live at 9. That's totally fine, just so we know. But they'll know that it opens at 10. That's when they're going to get their email and as well as all the social media pushes.
Right. And my guys are in Los Angeles and Colorado, so if I try to get them to take the register link down now and get it live by 9 a.m., I just feel like it's going to be too tight. I'm not going to be able to access them at 3 o'clock in the morning. So.
Yeah, the other thing I was going to say about the registration link is right now when you click it, it points to this page. It's kind of a small thing, but I think it'd be better if it directed you to this URL, just so you're actually at the registration rather than a blank home page.
Right. I thought I gave that to them yesterday. I'll double check.
Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and jump into the registration process in the database. So I think as everyone knows on this call, there are basically two pieces to the member connection system we've set up for you. There's the online event registration portion where all of your attendees are going to come in and register for the events. And there's the back office system where you guys can see everything that's going on. You can see all the registrations coming in, all the payments, all the invoices, and track all the information internally. Will you guys also be processing registrations through the back end, or is the plan to have everybody come through and register online?
The plan is for everybody to register online. I know there may be a one-off here and there, but I don't anticipate that.
Okay. It is possible if someone were to, for some reason, call you up and just rather do it via the back office to register someone through this interface as a staff member.
Yeah.
The process is a tiny bit different for you folks as opposed to a normal group because of some of the customization. So I'll go through that with you really quick just in case it does come up.
Okay, great.
Jewelry.
Yeah.
All right. So what we're looking at right here is a member connection dashboard. Everyone who accesses the system can have their own dashboard. Basically what it is just a custom view of the information that's relevant to you. So I put a few snapshots on here, event registrations for the last 30 days for the two events, a list of all the registrants that have come in today, You can see other things as well. There are action items, probably not as important for you folks, but if you wanted to track work throughout the system, you can assign work to different people. So if someone came in and had a question, you could attach an action item to their organization and say they were talking to Lindsay, but it was something that Joe should handle. Lindsay should say, okay, this action item's for Joe, and it'll show up right here on his dashboard next time he logs in.
Oh, cool.
But there's a variety of different reports. We can create some different ones for you as well. I just had a couple simple event reports up here. Everything on this is, again, customizable. You can drag and drop it from one side to the other. If you wanted to have, say there was a bunch of different snapshots you wanted to see, you can just press this plus button to make them stand alone. So now we'll see it added this snapshot to the bottom of the screen. If we ever want to expand something, see it in a larger view, we can click this button, get more of a full screen view, and you can toggle back and forth between a chart or looking at, what's the actual data that's populating this chart. If you go to Tools and Settings, you can customize what's showing here a little bit more. You can go from left toolbar, which is everything showing here on the left, to top toolbar if you'd rather have these things showing on the top. These homepage widgets are the things that are showing right now. So right now I have action items, snapshots, and table views. But if for some reason you needed to track something else, you had like a pivot table report or an opportunity, to-do list items, you can just check those off and click Save. And we'll see they've been added to the bottom of this dashboard as well. So now we've got our pivot table, our opportunities, our to-do lists. And if we want to get rid of them, we can just X them out. So I'm not sure if the dashboard will be as an important part for your group because you're really just using the system for these 2 event registrations. But if there is, a piece of information that you'd really like to see here that we don't have pre-configured, we can talk about going ahead and adding something like a custom snapshot or something to your dashboards as well.
Okay, great. Yeah, the only thing I can anticipate on the front for this is maybe a breakout of the groups in the event registering versus the PVs, so we can see the difference of how many are registered for each.
PVs, snapshot. Yeah, we can probably add something like that. That shouldn't be too difficult.
Okay.
We also have on the left side some reports. Again, this won't be necessarily particularly relevant for all of these sections. You're not doing products or subscriptions or really marketing. You don't technically have membership, but if you ever do want to use things like this, we have reports in here where you can pull up more of like a page report. So if you wanted to see all of your registrants,
Whoa, that's cool.
So we could set something like this up if you wanted to see like how many groups you had, and it overlaid numbers here, so you could see like, oh, here's 10 groups from Michigan or something like that.
Got it.
We can do different things of that nature. And some event reports. I just put a basic event report in here that shows how many registrations we have for both events. As I said, we're going to clear out all this data, so there won't be any registrations tomorrow morning. But again, if there's any specific event information that you'd like to see in a report format, we can do that as well. Some administrative reports, financial reports, if any of that is relevant to you too.
Great.
That's basically the dashboard setup. Along the left is all the different functionality that's available in the system. So if we select membership, we can see we're tracking individuals and the organizations they're affiliated with. Again, the rest of this is not necessarily relevant to you, but we can do chapters, committees, surveys is something we will set up for when we're finalizing the registration process, awards. Obviously, we're handling events. We have event calendar, product subscriptions, membership donations. Again, maybe not relevant, but if at any point in the future you do want to start doing anything like that, the functionality is already in the system. Email marketing, we can send sort of blast HTML emails out to the system. We can do dues renewals. Then financials, we've covered a little bit, but we'll review again. Member connections, really going to act as the accounts receivable system. So we're going to track the invoices and payments made for the event. And then we're going to process all of that and push it over to your accounting system, or basically create a file that you can then import into your accounting system. Administration has a lot of different functionality in terms of configuring the database. The biggest thing here will be once I set up your user accounts, if you want to go in and look at your users, say someone forgets their password, you can always go in, select a user, and reset their password. You can also control their permissions. I think everyone will probably, well, you can tell me if everyone should have sort of administrator access, but if not, you can control using these check marks functionality that everyone can see. So you can turn off if someone's allowed to, send email blasts or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that's basically the dashboard, a little bit of the administrator overview. I want to go ahead and just really briefly look at an organization record and an individual record so you folks can have just a really clear idea of how records come into the system and how to navigate throughout the system. So there's a lot of different ways we can get to an individual record. So say we've got this dashboard item and we see these lists of individuals, or it could be a list of organizations. One of the ways we can get to them is just to click on this link to their customer CD, and this is automatically going to open their individual record. Another way we can get there when we log in is to open our Recents tab. So this is a nice little tool to have in the system. It basically just keeps a running list of all the recent records you've accessed, and you can see it's a compilation of different kinds of records. So if I click on this, I can see Danielle's individual record. If I clicked on this, I could see Iowa Theater's organization's record. Or if I clicked on this, I can actually open the Atlanta event right from here as well.
Dumb question, but what does CD stand for?
It's really just a record number. Honestly, I'm not sure what CD, it stands for code, customer code.
Got it.
So it'll be like an event code. There's an event CD, a customer CD for individuals, an organization CD for organizations. It's really the unique identifier that we use throughout the system to recognize any record, be it an event, an individual, a registration. They'll all have unique codes. The last way we can access either people or organizations is to just select membership and go people. And we can search a bunch of different ways from here. So we could do a really quick search by someone's last name. This is their member ID, is their member CD, what organization they're with, if we had an email address. So I can just do a last name search and start typing in and pull up my record here that I have in the system, and then open it using that link. So that's a really quick way if you're looking to pull up someone's last name really fast. There's also a quick search button that just gives you a few other fields to search by, and you can search by a combination of fields. So I could say, show me everyone in Colorado, country. Obviously, these will all overlap, but you can do multiple criteria in here, and so show me everyone in Colorado who's also in the United States. There's no one who actually has the country United States in there probably. Let's see if I remove this. So we've got one person in Colorado. So that's the second way you can search. The third way is to actually use the query tool. So if I select this, this is going to allow me to search by basically any combination of criteria that we have in the database. So again, a lot of these sections on the left aren't going to apply to you, but you can open these drop downs and see all the different information that we can potentially be tracking about someone. And we can search by any combination of stuff here.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the most useful thing probably for you folks is you can say, event, show me everyone who's registered for JTF West. And then when I click out of this, I'll see that criteria move to the right side. I'm trying to think of an extra piece I can add to it. So let's say everyone who I have registered for JTF West from the state's District of Columbia. And so now I'm searching for anyone who's registered for JTF West, who also has a record in the District of Columbia. I can click this Show Match Count, and it's going to quickly tell me, oh, there's no one who meets both of those criteria. So I'm going to select DC, and I'm just going to remove it, clear selected criteria, and say, all right, how many people are registered for JTF West? And there's 10 people currently registered for JTF West. So if I go ahead and search this, I can have access to those 10 people. And I can take some different actions from here. I could export this list to an Excel sheet.
Mm-hmm.
I could send an HTML email to all of these people. So I can take actions once I have that list. Another thing I can do is save this list. So I can say, all right, I'm going to call this list JTF West Registrants. If I check this box, it's going to mean that everyone in the organization also can see this list. So that's useful if you have a bunch of different people working on the same list. If I don't, only I'm going to see this list when I log in. So I'll save this as JTF Registrants. This list has been saved. So if I ever want to go back, I'll move off and I'll go back to JTF Registrants. I can always go back to this list. Now, one of the nice things about this too is it's not actually saving these 10 people on the list. What it's doing is saving the query parameters or the search parameters. So if more people register for JTF West, when you go back and look at this next time, you're going to see those 10 people added to this list. And it can be, again, it doesn't have to be as simple as show me everyone who's attending JTF West. I have some in here from back when we were doing demos, like show me everyone who's registered for JTF but haven't yet completed the survey they need to complete. So these are dynamic. The individuals on this list will move in and out of the list depending on if they meet the search criteria. So these queries we can run on the fly. They're pretty quick to set up, or again, you can just save the list if it's something you know you'll be using a lot and always go back to it. We can also do this with organizations. So it's all the same. We can do the sort of that easy, fast search. We have the quick search option, which gives you a few more fields. And then you have an organization query option as well that lets you do the same thing. So rather than, and this may be even more relevant for you folks than the last one, I can say, rather than showing me all the individuals, I can say, show me all the organizations that are registered for JTF Atlanta, so I can see these 12 organizations have registrations for JTF Atlanta.
Great.
Once we've found the record we want to work with and we've opened it, we can see all the information we want to track about them. I mean, for the most part, I don't know that you're needing to track too much information, but if at any point in the future you want to start tracking more, we can do that. Now we're just doing basic things like first name, last name, the organization length, address. Should have some contact info here somewhere. Yeah, so we've got, you know, an email address. We can track phone numbers if we want to track phone numbers as well. All that information can be stored in the individual record. Across the top, we can see all the history tabs. So I can see a list of all, we're in Tara's record, I can see all of Tara's current or past event registrations and actually open the registrations from here. I can see all the invoices and all the payments that Tara's made as well. As I said, we've connected this to the organization, so if we want to actually just jump to the organization record from here, we can click View Organization. We can see, again, all the same basic contact info here, phone numbers, email addresses, a list of all the contacts at this organization, so right now it's just Tara, and a list of all the events attended by those contacts. And same with, for the most part, you'll see invoices and payments here coming in from event registrations as well. Back on the individual record, I can do a lot of different things once I have this record open. Most relevant to you, if you would be registering someone from the back end, I can go ahead and register her for an event from here. If you're selling products at some point, you could purchase products, enter dues, send a quick email. All of that you can do right from this notebook. And I can also edit this notebook. So if this isn't all the information you want to see, we can adjust that. All the fields on the right are fields that are showing in the record right now under their respective categories. So if we wanted to add a new field, if we wanted to see country as part of, see where, as under address, we could drag country in here and click save. When we close this out, now we see this country field as part of this as well. Another piece we can edit in these individual records. We scroll down, these fields on the left are all the fields available to add in. They can be relabeled, create a new field. These UDEF fields are all stand for user defined, so you can just relabel these fields and drag them in if you want to track something new. The available tabs is all the history tabs we're displaying at the top, so we can actually get rid of a bunch of ones that aren't necessarily relevant to you. I can get rid of addresses and education and keep invoices, payments, and documents. This section here, available activity buttons, is all the buttons that are available on this right side. And again, we can get rid of some that aren't necessarily relevant to iTheatrics. We can get rid of, they're not purchasing products or entering dues or entering subscriptions. We can go ahead and keep the rest of them. And when we click save and close this out, we can see that the notebook's changed. We've gotten rid of some of the history tabs at the top, and we've actually gotten rid of some of the activities on the right. So it's a little cleaner. We can make sure it has the information that's relevant to you. On the right, we can see, a couple of quick summary tabs, shows you all the revenue we've gotten from this individual. Reports, we can also put reports here that run from the individual notebooks. So we could have a report that showed, all the events Tara has attended, anything like that we can add as a report here as well. Any questions about individual records before I move on?
No. No.
All right.
The only thing I would say is it possible to delete an individual record?
Yes, let's see here. So if we look at Tara, you might have this set up actually so you can't delete individual records from here.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking.
What's the situation where you would see yourself deleting an individual record?
I just thinking about accidents, accidentally deleting a record, and then how often are we backing up? Like once a day, so we'd have to call and know what.
Yeah, there is a scheduled backup routine. It looks like the database is set up so you can't delete an individual record from your end. We can obviously go in and delete records. One of the things that you definitely won't be able to do is if you have a record and that person has made a purchase or has an invoice or is registered for an event, you're not going to be, the system won't even allow you to delete that even if you had a delete option.
Okay. No, I'd rather not be able to delete, just,
So you really won't have that option. You won't be able to delete.
Okay, that's great.
And can I ask real fast just about their registrations? On the off chance, and maybe you'll get to this, but two things. Someone registers and then decides they don't want to come and they want to unregister.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to just know how to do that. And also, if for some reason we decide to waive someone's fee for them, like I know, for instance, I have one group who we are just applying they paid last year for the registration fee and weren't able to come, so we told them we'd forward their payment to this year. I'd love to know how to adjust that on our end.
Okay.
I don't know if that falls in this category of individual record or somewhere else.
Yeah, so there's two different pieces there.
Mm-hmm.
When you waive someone's fee, how does that process usually work?
I mean, it's not official. Like, for instance, last year we had one group who registered. They sent in their $675, which is non-refundable. They had to drop out because the director had health issues, and we said that's okay. We can't refund you, but we'll forward your fee to next year. So typically, when they would register, we just wouldn't notate any payment whatsoever in our system, like in QuickBooks. But in our Excel sheet admin world, it says that we.
Yeah, so if in that situation where you just had sort of a note and you said, okay, next year these people aren't going to have to pay that registration fee,
Yep.
You would probably want to tell them, hey, when you're making this registration fee for this next year and you're getting it for free, just select the pay by check option.
Which is what I told her already, so that's good.
And then when you look at the invoices, so I can pull up a list of invoices here. Again, you can search for these a number of different ways. I just did a wildcard to pull out a number of them, but you can search by pay name, pay ID, invoice number, or do a quick find, and you get a few other fields come up here. But you could basically just go in and adjust the invoice. If I open the invoice, oops, not that one. So I have an invoice here for $675. I haven't paid any of it yet because I selected pay by check. I could edit the invoice items and say, we're going to charge nothing for this.
Oh, great.
And you'd probably want to do that before you posted anything to your accounting system. That's actually important. So now we have $0. And there's nothing outstanding on that invoice.
Perfect. That makes sense.
So you can adjust the invoice amounts for sure. And you can also do refunds.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, let me, I'm looking for one that I could show a refund on.
Right, because we'd still have to issue the refund through authorize versus through here, right? We just have to notate it here.
Yeah, it should actually, if it's a credit card,
Yeah.
I believe it will automatically issue the refund through authorize and refund that credit card amount.
Oh, great. So you go through the system and then it connects back.
If it's a check, you'll have to, make sure you go back in, and if you're issuing a check as a refund, you'll have to obviously go in and cut that check.
Right.
Let me, just trying to see, I want to be careful about which one of these I select, because I actually have two small payments that I ran through your actual authorized account. But your authorized account is off right now. Let me see. So if I open this invoice, and this invoice has already been paid, you can see, invoice total, amount paid, balance due 0, and I view those payments. All right, let's take a look at this. Yeah, they're blocked out right now because I think the authorize is turned off. But once you're live, you'll be able to click refund. And then you can go through, and if it's a check, you'll obviously have to make a note to get that check payment back out to them. But if it's a credit card, like this one's a Visa card, it should automatically reissue the $350 onto the Visa card.
And to that end, too, does that update the registration record and then say it's just an open balance, or does that back out the registration as well?
So that's actually separate from the registration. If we look at the event itself, and we look at the registrants, so I can open one I just recently did. So this is like a professional development registration, and I can cancel the registration from here.
Oh, great.
So this is going to ask you if you want to charge like an additional fee to cancel, but you can just zero this out if you're not doing that.
Yep.
Cancellation is no longer allowed. So that's controlled from, so right here it's set like on the record itself, and you can go in and update this. We're setting the last cancellation date, so you can put yours like way out.
Yeah.
2019.
Great.
and you can make this cancellation fee 0. And we're saying you can cancel. And so now if we go back into the registrations and open this one, we should be able to cancel this registration. So now this registration's been canceled, registration 73. We can see it in canceled registrations. So we see Doug's canceled registration. And then from here, we click on that invoice. So we could say, all right, here's Doug's invoice. And it's actually already, all right, let me double check and get you an answer for sure before you go live, but that might actually automatically do the cancellation payment process as well.
Oh, okay.
It looks like, and I just want to check and make sure it's definitely, gotten rid of the registration price automatically. I just want to make sure that it's also, if it's a credit card, it's going to issue that refund or create some sort of notification for the check.
Got it.
But I will get a firm answer on you for that this afternoon.
Great, thank you.
That's the basic way you'd go about canceling or zeroing out an invoice if you wanted to give a free registration.
Great, that makes sense.
Just for the first example you gave when you said like they might pay the $675 but couldn't come, is it typically that you're giving them a credit just for the $675, or is it they're getting a credit for the $675 plus a bunch of additional registration fees for like individuals and like directors?
Just the $675.
So another way, and you don't, this might be a little more work on your end, but another way you can do it is also create another price type. You could have a price type called complimentary.
But then would that show up on the main page?
It would. So here's what you would do, and this may be, if it's only 1 or 2 times, it may be complicating things more than we need to, but you could create like a complimentary price type and set whatever amount you wanted for that, $0, and select, actually, yeah, this is going to be, normally what I would say is you can actually assign this to like a specific member type and then go into that person's record and set them as that member type, and then they would automatically get that 0 price when they logged in. But thinking about it a little more, just based on the customizations we've made, based on whether you select like director price or group registration, that's probably not the best way to do it.
Yeah, I'd rather them just do it through me on the back end. And
yeah, that's probably the simplest way. All right. So we covered, were there any, we jumped around a little bit there. Were there any questions about individual and organization notebooks before I just move straight into events?
Yeah, I just have one quick question. Like, say for instance, someone calls me saying that they would like to change their address or something like that. Is that just right in People? I can click there. It seems simple, but I want to double check.
Yeah, so if someone calls in, if they want to change their individual address, you go to People. If they wanted to change their organization's address, you go to Organization. You can just look that person up. So I'll look up myself, select the record, and then you can edit any of the information in here. So if I now live at, 500 New York,
Great.
You can edit any of this information, and then just always make sure to click Save at the bottom there.
Perfect. I figured it would be that simple. I just wanted to make sure.
Yep, absolutely.
Thank you.
Were there any other event or individual or org questions before we just look at events?
Well, Lindsay, I'm not sure if this is for you, but if we do require more information for each group at a later time, is that something that we can update on the page and they get notified, or we just have to contact them through email and ask for it?
Well, we won't be really asking them for, the only information we need from them is what we ask for in the registration process. And then anything that we decide we're going to collect in the fall, so that would be what we update on our end, I believe. But and it sounds like if they call in with more information, we can just input it. regardless.
Yeah, and you can actually, we looked at customizing those records. You can add fields inside the database at any time if you decide you want to track something else.
Okay.
The only time where you'd have to contact us about something is if you wanted to add a new field in the individual record or the organization record, and then you also wanted to collect that via the website. We'd have to just make a quick update to the web form. But most that sort of stuff's pretty simple.
And if you add like new data fields, but other groups have already registered, those other groups that have already registered would not be notified?
Yeah, if you added, so say we changed the registration process to start collecting more data in the middle of registration, yeah, those records that have already come in, they wouldn't have, obviously they wouldn't have the additional information.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Right. So let's hop over to events. Whenever we want to look at events, again, there's a couple ways we can get there. We can either just use this Recents tab and see if one of the events is on there, or under Services, we click Events. And just like everything else, there's a couple of different ways we can search for them, by name or by their actual code. And then we can also use this quick find and, search by a couple of different, additional fields as well. By default, it's just pulling up a list of all the future events. So we've got both JTF Atlanta and JTF West in here. So if we open this event, most of this has already been done, but if you want to ever change something, just like the other record, you can edit anything in here. So we're tracking what's the title of the program, short descriptions, the location of the program, status open. So if we wanted to change the status, like close it, that would immediately update the website so no one else could register.
Oh, great.
Change those statuses there. What's the length of the conference? When does it start? When does it end? When's the last registration date? When does early registration end? These flags are pretty important. If I check or uncheck this, it's going to add or remove it from the website automatically. And if I check or uncheck this, it's also going to open or close online registration. Up here we have a little HTML profile. Again, this flows through to the web. So you can put in just plain text. You can actually edit the HTML here as well. And that'll flow through to the event description on the website. We looked at this a little bit earlier, but you can set, is this event that we're going to allow cancellations for? If so, when's the last date? And do we want to charge a fee? Maximum and minimum attendees we can keep track of, and the physical location of the event, which actually flows through to a map on the website. As we move through, we can see different functions. So for you folks specifically, this is where we're tracking how many people are registering under each of these categories: chaperone, director, relative, or students, and also how many people are, planning to book a hotel room through, official JTF hotels. We take a look at prices. There's actually only 2 of these that matter on here anymore, but we can set our different price types. Just because we've set up a lot of custom stuff, we probably won't want to edit these too much, but we've got basically our director price type for registering groups and our professional development price type for registering individuals. We've got the amount set for each of these price sets, and then we can also use these flags to say when the price is available. So right now, it's available for the standard registration period, the early registration period, and the late registration period. And this is web flag is what determines whether or not this price is available on the website or not. So
Great. Sorry to interrupt you, Michael. I'm just noticing, I know on the website everything says 225. I'm just noticing here it says 235 still, so I want to make sure we update that.
Let's see. It should say 225.
It should, yeah.
No, this is how we edit. Oh, no. That's why. These price types aren't these are actually completely unrelated to that. So those are set up as functions. So that's where these prices are coming from.
Okay, great. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, these prices are actually kind of relics of like when we first started the process, and we were looking at sort of different ways to set up the registration for those different categories.
I see.
Actually, I'll probably just go through and delete those before we actually push you live.
Okay, great.
Just make a quick note of that. All right. And then under the registration tab, this is where all our registrations are going to flow in. So we can sort these a number of different ways. You can sort by registration number, which is actually going to show you the order in which the registrations came in.
Perfect.
You can sort them by, the type of registration. So we've got two different types basically. We've got our director registrations and our professional development registrations. Any of this stuff you can sort by cities, organizations, anything like that. We can rearrange this too, so this might not be the order you want to see things in. I can drag, certain fields around here.
Oh, nice.
And arrange it any way you like. You can also add and remove fields. So if I click on any of these, they all have drop downs. And I can look at what columns are showing. So, maybe you don't care so much about city, state, anything like that. You can remove or add fields that aren't currently there, just to sort of customize your view.
Great. And sorry to interrupt you. You have all checked right now, and I'm noticing that there's not like a number 8 or a number 9 registration number. Just wondering why those would be missing. I would assume in active it would have all the active ones. Oh, or is it just organized by that? Never mind. Stupid question.
No, I don't think it was a stupid question.
I think I answered my own question because you can just.
It's not sorted by registration right now.
Yeah.
Let's see. We're still missing 8 and 9. I'm guessing those are registrations that at the beginning I just completely deleted.
Okay.
It's not. You really won't be able to go through and delete a registration. It's just something that I did on the back end when we were testing because I was registering myself a whole bunch of times. So you won't really see a gap in these numbers.
Okay, because I imagine if you cancel someone, it's not going to renumber their registration, but if you're in all, it's going to show you any of the canceled ones as well.
Yeah, it will show you any of the canceled ones and all as well. That's a good point. We can click through from like active,
Yeah,
paid,
that makes sense.
not paid, canceled. But yeah, it's never going to reissue like a registration number. Once you're registration 4, you're always going to be registration number 4.
Okay, good. That's great.
From these registrations, I can see a couple different things. I can open the registration itself, and from here I can see, who this person is, what price type they got, what registration they got, their name, and up here will actually be, and we're making a couple last-minute updates on this, but here will be where you see the estimates for who they're bringing. So. They're bringing 20 chaperones. They're estimating that they're going to bring 10 directors and so forth. So you can see all those estimate numbers from within the registration. And then once they actually finalize those numbers, you'll see those here. So this will be under functions is where you'll see their final counts. Once they've actually said, all right, we're paying for 9 directors and 2 students and, 1 something else. But on this profile, you'll also be able to see their estimated counts. So when you start getting registrations, before we open it in September or whenever it is, and people are actually finalizing, you can still track all those estimates here.
Okay. Is there any way for those estimated numbers and the information on the hotels to show up on that main dashboard as well in columns?
In which main dashboard?
So if you go to like the main event not the events, when you're looking at the people that are registered right here, basically that's also information that we would love to know, like right off the bat, looking at across the board, like knowing their estimated numbers as well as whether they want to book hotels.
So I can ask, I'm not sure if we'll be able to add that information here. Mm-hmm. We can definitely show it to you in other ways without having you to like click in to each person.
Yeah, because we'll need to see it in like a you know, an overview, and then when I export, I'll need all of that information as well to be able to pass it on.
Yeah, so I can definitely show it to you in like a report. So I could create a report that you can open from the event that says like, here's the organization, here's the individual, and then, you know, estimates for each category and hotel, yes or no. We'll have to check too to see if we can export all that information. But I can definitely create a report for you. So like however you want that formatted, I can do it in a report for sure that you can open from the event notebook.
Got it, but you won't be able to like navigate the information in the same way where I'm able to kind of sort and do different things, because ultimately I'll need to put all of that like in an Excel sheet as well, so I can like pass it on to people that need to know. And so I can also like count the numbers that want to do hotels and all that stuff.
Yeah, I can definitely do it in a report where you can see like, all right, here's the total number of people who've said hotels, and here's a list of them individually. As you said, you won't be able to like sort this or anything. I'll have to check and see if we can make that into an export. That might require some additional configuration.
Yeah, that would be really helpful, because otherwise I'm not really sure how I'll be able to manage it and get it to people who need it.
Yeah, so what are the different ways you like sort it and manage it?
Well, just essentially with the hotels, that's easy. I mean, I just need a list of the yeses and the nos, and then it, you know, in addition to, I usually leave it in addition to their contact information, so our hotel coordinator can see that information as well as their contact info at the same time, so she can go ahead and reach out to them, because she does that separately than me.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I could create a port that will do that like an identical format that you want. I'll have to, again, and I'm repeating myself, I'll have to check and see if we can do that in an export. It might be possible. Is this something that like you want to have tomorrow, or is it something that we can work out in the next couple of weeks or so to get like an export routine set up?
I mean, in an ideal world, I mean, as soon as you can. I mean, obviously tomorrow's too soon, so within like in a week or so would be ideal, because we'd love to be able to reach out to the people who want to book hotels. But understanding if it takes, you know, some more time.
Well, I'll look into it, and I'll figure out exactly, you know, how quickly and what we can get for you as far as being able to export that detailed information.
Got it. Thank you. I'm concerned that it'll end up being like a, well, we can export all the registrants obviously into the Excel, but then I feel that it might look like a manual thing to have to do for her, which is fine. I just didn't know if there was a way to do it through the...
Yeah. It may, I mean, worst case, it would be like a manual thing where you can export all the registrants to an Excel and then look at a report and just go down the columns and say, all right, 8, 5, 7, 6, which understanding that's not ideal. So I'll figure out exactly what the options are.
All right, thank you. Yeah, and same with the estimates, because that's something that like Tim likes to look at, but he's not going to be in the back end of the admin, so it'd be easy to be able to, or be helpful to be able to export so he can look at it overview-wise.
Yeah, and all these things too, if you do have it in a report format, you can always like save these things or print them. So like if there was something that someone who wasn't going to be in the back end but wanted like a specific overview, you could always download the report and then just send it in an email too.
All right, that's cool. Yeah, he likes to manipulate the information here and there, like within an Excel, so he can look at the budgeting and planning purposes of the estimates. But
okay, well, yeah, I'll get an answer for you and figure out what the options are on that.
all right, sweet. Thank you.
All right, so that's sort of an overview of how the information's flowing into the back office. Do you want to walk through like a registration from the front end? I know that's something, Lindsay, you've gone through a lot, but would that be helpful to see? Just one last sort of walkthrough?
It's up to everyone else. I feel pretty confident about it. I know that Dan has walked through it. I believe Joe's walked through it. I think, Gianna, you're the only one who hasn't walked through it specifically, but we can go through it, you know.
Well, if it's just me, I don't want to hold everybody else up.
Okay. I think what it would be good to walk through is to make sure, let's walk through an event registration from the back end, just because it's slightly different for you folks. And like the rare event that you do have someone registering from the back end, I want to make sure you have an idea of how that'll work. So if someone, for some reason they're on the phone and they want to register for the event, it's pretty simple. We just, again, pull up that individual. It's important because the way the system works, even though we're tracking it, all the event registrations to the organization, we're going to register individuals for the event, not organizations. If they didn't have a record in the system, we'd want to add a new individual and put in all that information, and then we'd want to make sure to affiliate them with the appropriate organization. If they do have a record in the system, it's a lot simpler. We can just pull up, pick Sue, and select Sue, and we want to say we're going to register her for an event. And we'll say we're going to register her for JTF West, so we're just going to select JTF West and say create registration. It's going to give you her name. And this is the one part where it's a little bit different. So if you're registering and she's going to do professional development registration, we just don't fill in any of this information. None of this shows up on the web when they're registering. It's just in the back office. If they're registering as a group, we're still actually not going to fill in this information.
Got it.
So you're going to want to make note of it, and we'll put it in a second. But we don't want to actually put in these estimates here because it's going to actually register them as, and it's not going to be an estimate. It's going to say this is how many people are coming. It's going to be like a finalized number.
Mm-hmm.
So for group, we want to just skip this step and move along.
And same with the hotel question?
Yeah, that was probably there, and I just skipped over it. Let me delete this from her cart and start over so we can see the hotel conversation. This is also, if you have something in your cart, I can go view the cart, and I can actually just clear the cart out. So let's do this again. We're going to register Sue. Group registration, and then you brought up a good point. You actually do want to select the hotel question. Because the hotel question isn't one where we're getting an estimate and then we're getting a finalized number in the future. So this actually will work fine. So we're going to skip these estimates, but we're going to check off yes if she is indeed getting a hotel, and then add the attendee to the cart. Do we want to check out now? Sure. From here we can see she's got her $675. It's going to autofill. You can autofill information from her notebook and say, let's use her organization's address, and her organization's address is the billing address. And then on the right, we can put in all the payment information. You can process a credit card from here. This is where you put in all the information that actually is verified on the credit card. So if Sue's paying with a personal credit card that doesn't match these addresses, or whatever credit card she's paying with, just like filling it out online, we want to make sure we have the appropriate payments here. Or you can also pay by check and put in a check number, or for right now I'm going to say we're just going to bill Sue, and it's just going to create the invoice. And now we've created the invoice. She's going to be on our registration list. And this is the one part, just because of the custom setup, where we're going to go back into the event, find Sue's registration, and we could sort it to make it easier. We could say, all right, here's the latest registration, Sue. And we're going to add those estimates here. So once you actually put in the estimates, now when Sue finalizes it, she can actually go online. She'll see those estimates there, and she can finalize them and pay for them and finish the process. Does that make sense? The only really odd part is having to put the estimates in here rather than in the initial process.
That makes sense.
And again, yeah, it sounds like it was a rare scenario for you folks, but just so you know in case that comes up. I know we've looked at the financials already on a different meeting, but we can just look at it briefly one more time once we're ready to we've got a couple days of transactions in here and we're ready to send those to the accounting system. We just go accounting, process for accounting, select, all the transactions up to today. And you just sort of step through this wizard. Just being very slow right now. I don't know if they're making an update on this. Try reloading this. I know they're making a couple of last-minute updates and pushing the payment system actually live, so this may be something that's affected right now.
Okay.
But it sounded like, Lindsay, this is pretty much you who will be doing this?
It is, yeah. So if I have questions, which I'm sure I will, but I'll let you know because I took some notes last time we went through it.
Yeah, but it will work the same way we did last time, where it shows you, here's the summary of all the transactions that are going to get made, and then it'll create the export file, and you can enter those into your QuickBooks systems.
Right.
All right, sorry about that. What they're doing on this. So that was, I think, everything I wanted to make sure we covered today. Were there any other questions before we sign off?
Not at this moment. I'm sure stuff is going to arise, so I hope you don't mind me reaching out and bugging you as we embark on this first round of registrations.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, you can always get in touch with me if something, you don't think is working properly, or if you have a question about something, send me an email and I'll get right back to you. I'll certainly be in touch later today as we finalize getting this system to go live. And I'll look into at a couple questions, making sure we understand how the refund or canceling a registration process works. And then I'll get you an answer as far as seeing if we can export that detailed information about the estimates or the functions and things like that.
All right, thank you. That's perfect.
All right.
Is there any idea when you authorize that net is going to be fully functioning and everything?
So we're at a point right now where we're kind of flipping it back on and off. So I'll flip it on for 5 minutes to test registration for $2.
Right, I've seen those. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a couple of those. I'm going to be refunding that stuff later today. So you don't need to make any authorized updates related to those little transactions.
Sure.
And then probably from our end just switch, if it's okay, my plan would be to have us switch everything so it's live with authorize, with all the online registration stuff when we leave here tonight or by the end of the day today.
Okay.
If you want, we can make an update in the event notebook. So at that point, when we leave tonight, I expect to have all the authorized stuff, everything to be working and fully online. If you want, we can make an update to one of these event records and just say don't allow online registration, and then you can come in at 9 or 10 o'clock tomorrow whenever you send the email and check this button to open registration. Or we can just have it open earlier and just assume that people won't be going there because they don't know about it.
When you sorry, go ahead. When you take online registration off, how does it show up then on our front end?
So let's take this one off.
Oh, it just disappears. Okay.
That disappeared.
So yeah, let's shut them off, Lindsay, and we can turn them on tomorrow 9 a.m. or 9:30, and then email sent to the registry.
I think that's a good idea. So if it's just the online reg button for both events, then we can certainly do that tomorrow morning.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I'll probably have them on throughout the day because we're still doing, last finalizing testing and stuff. But I'll turn them off before we leave, and I'll send you an email, and then you can just click that button, hit save, and you'll be ready to go tomorrow morning.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Okay, the last thing I am going to do too is create accounts for your staff to log into the system.
Okay.
Are there more people who should have accounts other than the 4 of you?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so I'll just create accounts for each of you, and then you can go in once you're logged in. I'll set a sort of like a generic password, but then once you log in, you can go into the edit users under administration and select your user and change your password.
Okay. Quick question, just on the front website, I noticed, I thought we were changing, but maybe we didn't get there. That registration button, were we going to change it to say register?
This one?
Yeah.
You can do that right now.
Okay.
Oh, he did this in the, does it say, what does it say on the,
Our button, I think, says register.
okay. Yeah, I can get it changed, but because we customized it to like try and look identical to yours, I can normally change it from here, but I'll have to have my web team change it. But I can get that. Registration
Great.
to register.
Thank you.
All right, great.
Sweet.
Yeah, well, unless there's anything else, I'll be back in touch with you later this afternoon, Lindsay, and enjoy your snow day. Stay warm.
You too.
Yeah, you too.
All right. Thank you guys very much. I'll talk to you soon.
Have a
Thank
good
Bye,
you.
thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.